Hi, my name is Ed Garza, Mr. Pitchman, interviewing top business professionals nationwide, always with top people talking about great things that matter the most. Ideas are rejected until knowledge is accepted. All right, folks. So I want you to listen in because we're talking to a high level success coach right now that you need to meet and you need to get to know. That is Mr. Dana Silvestri. You run a consulting service, Dana. Tell us a little bit of the story, how you got started in this process. I know you've had some great mentors in your life. Tell us a little bit about how you got started on this journey of helping businesses and individuals break through instead of breaking down.
Yeah, and thanks, Ed. First off, thanks for having me on here, and I'd be happy to tell a little bit about my story. So a little shorter version in regards to it is, I grew up shy. I had a speech impediment growing up. I didn't like to talk or to hide behind my parents when I met people, and kind of had something going on with my self-image or just how I viewed life in that sense. Then all the way through, as I got older and stuff, the same thing stayed with that. I was scared to do public speaking, and I found that I had all these beliefs about life that were limiting in a sense. But at that time, I didn't understand what that was. I just thought that's how everyone viewed life that way. So basically, I went through college. I got my degree in business and everything like that. And then it really, I was sitting down in my office that my corporate role that I got out of college that I was told, by society, my parents, and nothing wrong with doing it, but I was told to go this path. And then I would stay here for the remainder of my life and then retire at 65, which is what most people do in that sense, and nothing wrong with that. But I found out quickly that that wasn't my path. And especially I found out the corporate job that I was at, I was underpaid, I was underappreciated. I didn't feel like I was contributing. I felt like I could do more. So I was kind of stuck because, my whole life, it's like Tony Robbins says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Obviously, I was young, but at the point that I got to that I was always looking forward to get to, I didn't think it would feel like that. So I was kind of stuck in that sense of, okay, now what do I do? And I also had a couple main points happen to me throughout my life so far that had me have a different viewpoint on life combined with what I was experiencing. When I was just rewind a little bit, when I was 16, I lost my aunt and uncle to cancer in the same year. And I started to get really healthy. I started to ask myself questions. Why am I here? What am I going to do with my life? What's the purpose of it? So my perception of time changed and everything like that. When I was 21, I lost an ex-girlfriend in a car accident. So I had these deaths around me with people I loved. And I started to ask myself these questions. And fast forward into that job, I was sitting there with that festering in my mind, with me not understanding what I've worked up to this point, went through college, and I still was not fulfilled in that sense. So I remember one day, this is what happened. I had no goals. I had no purpose that I knew about, and I didn't have a vision of what I wanted. And I remember one day I sat down on this mountain on a ski lift. It was in the summertime. And I bought a notebook at CVS. I sat down on the ski lift and I mapped out my life exactly how I want it to be in all aspects, spiritual goals, business goals, career, relationship goals, health goals. And I looked at that list. It actually took the whole weekend. And I looked at that list and I had a breakthrough moment. I said, the path that I'm going in my corporate role right now, I could never accomplish anything on this list. So if I want to be fulfilled in this process, I have to go a different path. And that's when it dawned on me that I need to do this now, not when I'm 50, not when I'm 60, not when I'm 80, and I can't do it. I need to do it now. So I started to invest in myself, started to invest in a lot of programs and stuff like that. Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, famous entrepreneurs, Bob Proctor as well. I started to push out content online, and that's all I knew what to do. Is I would feed my mind constantly with mentors start with YouTube, with Audible, with books, everything like that. Just keep feeding my mind. And as I did that, as I invested in myself, I realized that these people that I was gaining these perspectives through were not thinking the way that I was taught. They were thinking differently. And these people also, they were successful people with financially in their relationships. They have good morals and values. So I said, I need to start following these people, even though it's going against the grain. And that's what I did. And that's when I put out the content. And I realized quickly that I was still scared of public speaking. I still had these self-limiting beliefs and stuff. Sure. So I actually did some stand-up comedy. I signed up for that. I did some stand-up comedy, professional stand-up comedy to kind of conflict that, started to work on those beliefs. And then I launched up a coaching business with my whole experience to help people, no matter how successful they are in their business, entrepreneurs, or people that are in that corporate role, kind of smash through those barriers and get from where they are to where they want to go. Because most of the time I find there's a gap. We know what we want to do. We have all this knowledge, but we're still not doing the thing that we want to do to get the result that we want to get. Why is that? We call it the knowing doing gap. So my goal is to close that gap down for other people like I did for myself. And then fortunately enough, long story short, this year, I was also able to partner up with Bob Proctor and his company. And Bob Proctor is one of the top teachers on human potential and development in the world. 86 years old, has the energy of a 30-year-old's, and he has amazing programs, over 60 years in business. So I use a lot of his programs and his coaching that transformed my life. I invested in his programs first, then partnered up with him in that process to help people have that same experience. So that's really what happened. I experienced it myself. I fell in love with the process. I love to share. And I found out the more that I learned, the more that I can share.
Excellent stuff. I love this topic because, I tell you what, sometimes people never get to that stage in their life, and that's sad. But, hey, if you're young and you're looking for the right direction to go, speaking to someone like Dana could certainly boost you off to a good start and where you need to go. Sometimes you just don't know where to start. I loved how you'd mapped out your life and you kind of set your goals out there. It kind of reminds me of a book I read by Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield called The Aladdin Factor. They talk about the exercise they did in a workshop called what do you, basically asking the question, what do you want? And asking that multiple times. A lot of people don't know what they want and they don't have clarity. Can we talk a little bit about that topic of clarity? Because I know that's probably an important part of a huge part of your coaching program. Clarity is so key. And a lot of people, even in their own companies, they can't figure out why they're not, growing the way they want to grow. And a lot of the problem is rooted at the concept of clarity in their own mind and their own products and services. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that topic, for everybody, so we could get clear on exactly what you do in the coaching process and just get a little sample of it?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, like what you mentioned, what do you really want? 97 out of 100 people can't answer that question. If you walk up to the 97 people, 100 people in the street, 97 out of 100. So that being 3%, if we're lucky, truthfully know that. So the process of what do you want goes back to Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, that book that's sold over 300 million copies or 100 million copies, the best-selling book of all time for self-development, is you need a burning desire. So the whole process of my coaching is we set a certain type of goal. We call it a C-type goal. And it's not what you think you can have. It's not what you want. I mean, it's not what you think you can have. It's not what you think you can get, but it's what do you really want to be, do, and have. And it has to scare you a little bit, and it has to excite you a little bit, because that's what keeps that fire burning within you, and that fire to keep going, and that persistence when those obstacles come up. Because if an obstacle comes up and the obstacle is more powerful than your purpose or your goal, you're just going to say, I'm not going to do it. So if the goal is big enough, and trust me, my mentors I've talked to, even though they're very successful, they always go back and they say it's not really a regret, but the one thing they would have changed is set bigger goals. And these people already have bigger goals. So I think it's so important, first off, to know who you are in that sense. Most people don't know what they are. A lot of people won't do I used to think meditation was for monks, to sit there with your eyes closed. And I was like, I'm never going to do that. And I just kind of changed my viewpoint on that. And I would sit there and I start to use it for business, and I start to use it for my life and say, how can I serve more people? How can I serve more of my clients? What ideas do I have to do next? And that gave me, as I did that, I had more awareness in life. I think life is really about awareness. You gain more awareness. It doesn't matter what age you are, get more clear on who you are. And as you understand who you are, you understand other people, because we're all expressions of other people. We just have different behaviors. We have the same nature overall. So that process of finding out who you want is so important. You just got to keep asking yourself that question. I do it mentally probably 20 or 30 times a day. Just what do I want? And not just overall in life, in the situations to make decisions. What do I want to make this decision? What do I want in this situation? And that ties back to having the goal that's up here. Because if you're focusing on your past results or your past bottom line, your financial statement, how much money you're making and everything like that, that is important. But at the same time, if you're making decisions based on that, you're living in the past. You're going to create habits again that are your past habits are going to recreate what happened yesterday. So you need to think as that future person. I really think with that goal already accomplished in that sense. So I'm doing the habits that person would do. I'm making the calls that that person would do. I'm showing up as that person already in advance. And by law of cause and effect, you take an action, it causes a reaction in your circumstances, your environment, you're going to get a result that you want back. So, and the last thing I want to say about that is a lot of people think they'll go through 30, 40, 50 years and they'll think they're doing what they want, and they'll get to the end when they're getting a little older and they're realizing that you're going to die eventually. We understand death is real, but we don't think about it that much. And then they say, oh, now I'm going to go live my purpose. Now I'm going to go live my dream now that I'm at this age. So my whole message is especially for the younger people, is why not now? Like, we have all this access to this information. We have mentors online that people didn't have before. We can work from the computer. We have an amazing opportunity right now. So my message is, keep finding that out, keep getting deep on that, and to really listen to yourself. I was someone that, was it 4 or 5 years ago, I would go out drinking every weekend when I had no goals and stuff like that. And the whole thing it was a distraction for me because I didn't know what I wanted. So it's time to pull back that curtain and just get real with yourself and find what you want. Because at the end of the day, I think that's, if you just get a little deep about why we're here and I say why we're here, what life is about, I think it's just being fulfilled in that sense of doing what we'd like to do. It's that simple.
Absolutely. It's like, again, you got to ask yourself challenging questions, to really set those C-type goals, I ask myself questions, and I use the principle of the Kaizen principle in my personal life and my business, always looking for ways to improve and ask myself challenging questions. For example, I think of, again, I go back to the book I read, I still remember from the Aladdin Factor, Jack and Mark said, hey, when they asked themselves, what would it take to sell 1 million books? Right. And that was an outrageous goal. Right. I mean, they're totally outrageous. Of course, they've gone beyond that. But, when they first launched, you got to ask yourself a sizable question, and I think you can summarize that in the phrase that I'm borrowing from them. The size of your question determines the size of your result. So how big are you willing to think and get outside your comfort zone and start thinking a little bit differently so you could stretch your mind? And part of that's, we could have deep conversations about this, Dana. I mean, obviously the subconscious versus the battle between the subconscious and the conscious mind is constantly there. That's a topic you and I could probably talk about for, 30 minutes to an hour and discuss it. There's all type of science that proves it, from athletes to, geniuses and people that have achieved massive success. It's all about controlling your entire mind and really just making your mind a friend. I like to say that, right? Making your whole total mind a friend to you and what you want in life. So how would somebody engage with you? Do you offer anything up front, like an initial consultation to discuss their breakthroughs and things that they want to accomplish if they feel stuck or in a rut in their business, or they're an entrepreneur, or maybe they're in the corporate world and they want to enter into this space? How would they begin the conversation with you?
Yeah, I'm the type of person, because I was in a situation before when I didn't have people my age doing what I was doing, and I didn't have a community like that. So I felt lost, and I really went to the internet to find communities and find mentors and books and stuff like that. That's how I made it to where I am right now, and I have a lot to do. So unfortunately, it wasn't the people around me in my real life, and I'm growing that network as I go and stuff like that. More people now, but when I first started, it was me and my girlfriend, and that was it. Anyways, so the people that need, that community or that kind of thinking or anything like that, I have a lot of things that I do. I have a Facebook group. It's called the Advancing Minds on Facebook. I put content in there. I put videos in there, all completely free. Other people that are like-minded, that the only thing that you need is desire. So anyone that wants to desire growth or to do more is in that group. So that's number one. Number two, I also have, I have a couple of things I can say right here. I also have Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Book Club on Fridays at 12 o'clock Eastern time for free, where we go over a chapter from Think and Grow Rich. We do breakout rooms. You get to network and meet people and form those relationships. And then also you can go to my website. It's theDanaSilvestri.com. So just a THE in front of my name.com. You can book a consultation there just to talk about your goals, what you're looking to achieve. It's not me trying to sell you something on that call. It's just finding out if we can work together, what you're looking to do, and build that relationship. I just want to get that established. And then if we wanted to work together, okay, we could have that conversation, but that's not my motive out of that. And then lastly, so there's a couple of things here. I know I should say one thing, but lastly, I just announced next month on the 14th of June, I'm doing a 5-day challenge, and it's going directly to that Facebook group. So if people are interested, I call it the 5-day New Year's resolution reset challenge, because so many people set those goals on New Year's. We're 6 months into 2021. We got 6 months left. So it's a recalculation. Doesn't matter if you have huge goals, if you've hit your goals, if you don't set any, if you want to recalculate, you want to get clear on what you want, and you want to start to take those habits towards those goals, then definitely join the Advancing Minds Facebook group. And I also have links in there and everything.
Fantastic, man. I tell you what, guys, I tell you, you need to spend some time in your education in your own mind. I know that even if you're in the corporate world and you're watching this video and you want to get to the place where you think a little bit bigger and you start to get control of your future, it's only you. And believe me, you can do all things. I mean, it's endless possibilities for you. It's amazing how powerful the human mind is. If you just get in control of it, you make your mind a friend, and you hang around people that think. That's it. Hang around people that think. And Dana is one of those guys that you definitely want to connect with. I appreciate you, Dana. I'll be sure to put the information on the video about your Facebook group. Make sure you send that to me in an email or text message. I look forward to learning more about it. I know I look forward to joining that group as well. Always looking for opportunities to hang around people that think big and that think different. And that's what it's all about, to give you the competitive edge. So if you're looking for opportunities to expand your mind, expand your growth, and continue to improve in your life and reach your true passion, you definitely want to reach out to Dana or myself. I can connect you with him as well. So Dana, I appreciate you being here with me. It's great to get to know you a little bit, and I look forward to conducting and doing business with you in the future, sir.
Thank you so much, Ed.